Hello everyone, welcome to BC Storytime. Today, we've got a chilling tale from Japan. It's about a high school junior who, after returning home from school, went to her room to relax, only to be brutally attacked by an unknown intruder. The lack of leads made this case particularly challenging, and for over a decade, it remained unsolved, casting a long shadow over the community. This is the 2004 Hiroshima Prefecture high school girl incident. The incident took place in Hiroshima Prefecture, located in the southwest of Japan on Honshu Island. Close to the Seto Inland Sea, Hiroshima Prefecture boasts abundant natural resources, with thriving agriculture and fishing industries, making it a microcosm of Japan. In the southwestern part of Hiroshima, there's a small city named Hatsukaichi, an essential timber port in Japan with a population of around 110,000. And it's in this city that our story unfolds. Our protagonist is Satomi Kitaguchi, a 17-year-old attending Hatsukaichi High School as a second-year student. Satomi resides in the Wahireyoshi area of Hatsukaichi, living in a detached house with two sections, a single-story main building and a two-story annex, connected internally. The Kitaguchi family consists of 5 members: father, mother, grandmother, Satomi, and her younger sister. Satomi's father, deeply devoted, welcomed her into the world 5 years after marriage. Later they were blessed with a younger sister, and the family lived happily. However, tragedy struck on a fateful day in October 2004. What happened on that day, and what unfortunate events befell Satomi? Let's rewind to October 5, 2004, a Tuesday. On this particular morning, Satomi rode her bike to school as usual. This day was different though. Since it was an exam day, she didn't have to spend the entire day at school. After finishing the morning exam, she had the afternoon off. So, Satomi finished school 3 hours earlier than usual. Given that it was a workday with few pedestrians around, by 1 p.m., Satomi was back home. Her parents were at work, leaving only her grandmother and younger sister in the house. They were watching TV in the main building's living room when Satomi greeted them. After a quick hello, she sat down to have lunch by herself. Once done, feeling a bit tired, Satomi retreated to her room. Her room wasn't in the main building but on the second floor of the adjacent annex. Although the main and annex buildings were connected, there was still some distance between the living room and Satomi's room. Planning to take a break before her part-time job at 5 p.m., Satomi lay on her bed, listening to music. Around 3 p.m. that afternoon, Satomi's grandmother and younger sister were engrossed in watching TV. Suddenly, they heard a chilling scream coming from the adjacent building. It was undoubtedly Satomi's voice. Alarmed, her grandmother and sister rushed to the second floor to check. Arriving at Satomi's room, they found the door slightly ajar. Pushing it open, they were greeted by a horrifying scene. Satomi lay motionless on the floor, covered in blood. What was even more terrifying was a stranger standing next to her, a man around 20 with short hair, holding a knife. Witnessing this gruesome sight, Satomi's grandmother and sister were petrified. The short-haired man, equally shocked by their sudden entrance, stood frozen in place. Seizing this opportunity, Satomi's sister panicked and ran downstairs, escaping through the front door. She sought refuge in a nearby gardening store, crying and telling the store owner, "My sister has been stabbed! My sister has been stabbed!" After Satomi's sister fled, her grandmother, trembling in fear, turned to leave the danger zone. However, the short-haired man had regained his composure. He caught up with her, stabbing her in the back 4 times. The grandmother fell to the ground in response. The short-haired man swiftly fled the scene. Although the grandmother sustained several stab wounds, fortunately, none were fatal. Summoning all her strength, she sat up, hoping to awaken her granddaughter Satomi, who remained motionless. Realizing Satomi's unresponsiveness, she remembered her younger granddaughter and worried about her safety. Despite the pain, the grandmother crawled back downstairs to the living room. There, she dialed the emergency number, and shortly after, she lost consciousness. Upon receiving the call, the police promptly dispatched officers to the crime scene. Police cars and ambulances arrived at Satomi's home. On entering the house, the police found the grandmother collapsed near the telephone on the first floor and rushed her to the hospital for urgent care. In Satomi's bedroom on the second floor, they discovered her lifeless body in a pool of blood. Forensic examination revealed 10 knife wounds on Satomi's body. The fatal wound was near her heart, and there were no signs of sexual assault. The police then examined the surroundings of Satomi's home to determine the possible escape routes of the assailant. If the perpetrator went left upon leaving the house, they could enter nearby residences or escape along the river. If they went right, a main road awaited, providing various escape directions. The police speculated that information on the direction the assailant took might aid in solving the case, helping determine whether it was someone familiar with the victim. The search for witnesses began as the police questioned residents door to door. Unfortunately, the crime occurred on a weekday afternoon around 3 p.m. when pedestrian traffic was sparse. No one witnessed the assailant fleeing Satomi's home, presenting a significant challenge for the police in solving the case. Satomi's grandmother was urgently transported to the local hospital's intensive care unit. Due to prompt medical attention, she miraculously survived. Meanwhile, the forensic investigation at the crime scene was proceeding systematically. The police successfully retrieved fingerprints belonging to an unidentified person, a print not matching any family member. This fingerprint was likely left by the suspect. On the bedroom floor, several identical-sized shoe prints were discovered. The police deduced that these were hastily left by the assailant during the escape. Examining the tread pattern, the police identified the brand and model of the corresponding shoes, sized between 26 and 27 centimeters. Furthermore, forensic analysis found human skin flakes under Satomi's nails, yielding a male DNA sample. Preliminary analysis indicated that the DNA belonged to the perpetrator. Although the police possessed crucial evidence, solving the case based solely on this presented a considerable challenge. Fortunately, Satomi's younger sister and grandmother had seen the suspect's face. They provided clear descriptions, allowing the police to create a composite sketch of the assailant. The man was approximately 165 centimeters tall, well-built, around 20 years old, with short hair, narrow eyes, and noticeable acne on his face. With the composite sketch in hand, the Hiroshima Prefecture police gained confidence. They believed that identifying the person in the sketch, combined with evidence collected at the scene, shoe prints, fingerprints, DNA, would lead to the apprehension of the criminal. The police showed the sketch to Satomi's family, neighbors, classmates, and passers-by, hoping someone would recognize the suspect. Disappointingly, no one could identify the person in the sketch, leading the investigation into another deadlock. Young Satomi had left this world, leaving her family in deep sorrow. What added to their anguish was that the elusive perpetrator remained at large, as if evaporating from existence. Satomi's parents had saved 3 million yen for her future university tuition, a sum now intended as a reward for information leading to the culprit. Posters offering the reward were plastered across streets, crowded places, and police stations nationwide, spreading awareness of the high school student's tragic case. Simultaneously, the Hiroshima Prefecture police persisted in their efforts to solve the case. Over the following decade, they investigated over 40,000 individuals. However, with each passing year, the perpetrator remained free. Satomi's father established his own blog, chronicling his feelings and disclosing the latest developments in the case. He wrote almost daily, maintaining this practice for over a decade, producing over 4,000 entries. Every day, he mourned his daughter, hoping for the day when the perpetrator would be brought to justice in her memory. 11 years after the incident, the Hiroshima Prefecture police sought assistance from experts from other prefectures and a US-based group called the Behavioral Analysis Unit, BU, a specialized team within the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI. Proficient in using behavioral science to aid criminal investigations, the BU had successfully solved numerous cases. The investigative team revisited the crime scene and conducted a renewed inquiry into the surrounding neighbors. Employing criminal psychology, they concluded that the assailant didn't intend to kill Satomi that fateful day. Instead, certain unforeseen circumstances prompted the perpetrator to commit such a gruesome act. Utilizing the original sketch drawn by the police and modern technological methods, they synthesized an updated image of the suspect's appearance 11 years after the crime. Compared to the original portrait, this computer-generated image was believed to more closely resemble the real face of the perpetrator. It is said that the shape of a person's eyes generally doesn't change with age. Despite the assistance of the BU experts, the case showed no progress. Just when everyone believed this decade-old mystery would remain unsolved forever, a breakthrough occurred. In April 2018, the Yamaguchi Prefecture Police received a distress call from an employee of a construction company in the city of Ryofu, Yamaguchi. The caller reported that his boss, in a fit of anger, had kicked him forcefully in the buttocks and requested police intervention. Responding to the call, the police arrived at the construction company. The boss, identified as Manabu Kashima, aged 35, was a senior employee at the construction company, having worked there for 10 years. On that day, due to some work-related conflicts, Kashima got extremely angry and started kicking his subordinate. Feeling unfairly treated, the subordinate sought police help. By the time the Yamaguchi police reached the company, both men had calmed down. However, due to the reported assault, the police had to document the incident. Especially concerning Kashima's aggressive behavior, when the police prepared to collect his fingerprints, he visibly displayed anxiety and restlessness. Although it was just a workplace dispute without severe consequences, and Kashima was allowed to leave after recording his statement with his colleague's forgiveness, one of the officers who took Kashima's statement noticed his uneasy demeanor. Feeling that something was amiss, the officer decided to submit Kashima's fingerprint information to the Yamaguchi Prefecture Police Headquarters. After a few days, the headquarters inputted Kashima's fingerprint information into the database for comparison. Unexpectedly, the system issued a loud alert. Kashima's fingerprints were a perfect match with those found at the crime scene of Satomi's case 14 years ago. Kashima lived in Ryofu, Yamaguchi, which is adjacent to Hiroshima Prefecture. The distance from Ryofu to Hatsukachi is approximately 100 kilometers, making it entirely plausible for him to be the perpetrator. Manabu Kashima, at the age of 35, was 21 at the time of the crime, aligning with the descriptions provided by Satomi's sister and grandmother of a perpetrator around 20 years old. The Yamaguchi Prefecture Police considered Kashima a significant suspect and swiftly arrested him, handing him over to the Hiroshima Prefecture Police. Kashima's employer, upon hearing the news, was shocked. He praised Kashima's work ethic, emphasizing that he never missed work and had a good attitude. Kashima's boss couldn't fathom that an employee who had worked for the company for 10 years could commit such a heinous act. It's a classic case of not truly knowing someone despite a long association, leaving a lingering sense of unease. In March 2020, the court initiated the trial for Satomi's case. Initially, Kashima denied the accusations when arrested by the police. However, confronted with irrefutable evidence in court, Kashima finally admitted to the heinous crime committed over a decade ago. His defense attorney argued for a lenient sentence, claiming that Kashima did not know Satomi and that the crime was a result of accumulated work-related stress. Kashima, riding his motorcycle from Ryofu City to Hatsukachi, noticed Satomi returning home from school. Captivated by her youthful allure, Kashima followed her to her house. Observing her from outside for a while, he impulsively entered Satomi's room with the intention of assaulting her. When she resisted, Kashima, enraged, took out a folding knife from his pocket and stabbed her. The defense argued that the crime was a consequence of Kashima's prolonged work pressure, emphasizing that he had no premeditated intent to kill Satomi. It was a tragic outcome of a momentary impulse, and they hoped for a lenient judgment from the court. On March 18, 2020, the Hiroshima District Court rendered its verdict. Judge Masanori Sugimoto expressed that for a long time, the criminal had eluded justice, causing profound pain to the victim's family and a detrimental impact on society. The judge found Manabu Kashima guilty of murder and sentenced him to life imprisonment. With this, a well-known unsolved case in Japanese society was finally solved. For Satomi's family, who had endured prolonged suffering, there was finally some consolation. After Kashima's trial, Satomi's father wrote on his blog, expressing his guilt and inability to protect his daughter. The story comes to an end here, with justice, albeit delayed by over a decade, ultimately prevailing. Even today, Satomi's father continues to update his blog, still feeling remorse for his daughter. It is hoped that he can soon overcome his pain and start living life again, which it is believed is what Satomi would have wanted.